Hello viewers, Super GT here. Now this is something of a very different video. In this one I wanted to go through how I became a full-time YouTuber on racing games. And not just that, I was going to go through a couple of things. My personal story as well, because I think that we've got to a good point in this channel. 300,000 subscribers was reached very recently. And also we're coming up to the end of the year and end of the decade. Depends when you watch this, of course. And I feel like this is a good time to go through how I became a full-time YouTuber. My career, if you can call it that, has spanned pretty much the length of this entire decade. I started in 2011 as a hobby, and in 2018 I went full-time. So for those who are new to this channel, who aren't familiar with who I am, my name's Steve, otherwise known as Super GT on YouTube, and I focus on racing games. Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, Gran Turismo, iRacing, the Dirt series, so Dirt Rally, Dirt 2, Dirt 3, a bit of Assetto Corsa, a bit of Project Cars. So over the years I've focused on all of those sorts of games, mainly Gran Turismo at the moment, and also I've done a lot of real kart racing. So it's a bit of a mix of real racing and gaming or sim racing, and I've become a full-time YouTuber by doing all of that. At the end of this video I'll also be doing a giveaway, just to say thank you really for the support on the channel, because of course without any viewers and subscribers none of this is possible. So I'm going to be giving away a Thrustmaster TGT racing wheel. So it's the wheel that they use in the Gran Turismo World Tour. It's a very good wheel, worth about $600-700 dollars. So it's a pretty good wheel, so stick around for that. So I'm going to go through a couple of things in this video. It might be quite a long one, it might be quite rambly, but what I'll do, I'll pin a comment down below and put a couple of timestamps to certain subjects that you might want to skip to. Okay, so I want to go through my sort of personal story first, because I feel like even though I've been uploading videos for 8.5 years, I haven't really gone into much depth about who I am and my sort of more personal story. So we're going to go to that first. So my name is Steve Alvarez Brown. I'm 29 years old, so I'm not a 50-year-old guy who lives in his mum's basement, as most people think based on my voice before they see what I look like. Well, maybe in 20 years I'll be in my mum's basement, but for now I'm not quite there. I'm half English, half Filipino. I live in the UK, in the south of the UK, and I was born here. I've lived here my whole life. So we'll go back to the beginning, before the YouTube even started. So my dad was really interested in racing, in cars. He's a truck driver, and my interest in cars sort of started from him. He was watching F1, so I used to watch F1 as well. So that's where my sort of interest in motorsport started. I always had lots of vehicles as toys, so like helicopters, train sets, cars. So I was always interested in that. And then for my 11th birthday, my dad bought me a go-kart. So I've been racing for real since 2001, when I first got that kart. But I've been racing in games since the mid-late 90s. So when I first got a PlayStation 1, I got V-Rally was the first game I ever played on a console. So way back in, I think it was 96, so a long time ago now. And that's where it all started. So V-Rally, Ridge Racer Revolution, Gran Turismo 1 in the late 90s. So that's where that started. So I've had an interest in games and in real karting since the mid-90s, and have been racing for real since the early 2000s. So I'll say my childhood was very good. There was nothing really wrong with that. It got a bit harder in my adulthood, I would say. I went to study at university. I went to study motorsport engineering in 2010. And I struggled for two reasons. Mainly, well, first off, because, well, first reason being that I wasn't that great socially. So I found it hard at university in a social aspect, as I was really, really quiet. I was a really shy person. I basically never started a conversation with anyone. So I found it very tough in that respect. I mean, I had friends. I was part of the football team, part of the karting team. So, I mean, I had friends, but it was a bit tough in terms of the social aspect. But then also, it was tough because I didn't enjoy motorsport as much as I thought I did, or cars. I have a love for motorsport and driving and racing, as if I'm the driver, but I don't have so much of an interest in sort of going under the hood of a car and fixing it. So that really wasn't my interest. So I found university pretty difficult because of those two things. And I actually left. I dropped out in my second year. I didn't want to do it anymore. So I went back to a warehouse job that I had, which I was doing during the off time from university. So at Christmas, Easter, summer, I had this job at a warehouse. I just went back to that job straight away from university, as I always preferred to be sort of doing something rather than studying. I'm not really someone who does that well when you have exams and things to revise for and studying. I don't have that much of an attention span, really, I must say. So for all of those reasons, I left and I went into this warehouse job that I had beforehand. So it was actually a really poorly paid job. It was rubbish. Looking back, I'm so glad I don't have to do it anymore. So that was from 2012 up until about 2018. About halfway through that, though, 2015, I got promoted up to an auditor position. So it was a bit more responsibility, a bit more money. So that was a bit of an improvement in my life. I would say that my early 20s were very difficult. I was very shy, very quiet, as I said. But I wasn't particularly happy with how my life had gone. Obviously, it's easy to look back now and say that I should have just completed the university course and just gone into motorsport. But I also stick by my decision to do that. And I know how I felt at the time. And I wouldn't make a different decision if I had the choice to do it again now. But in the background, I was doing YouTube as well. So it's from 2011 is when I first started. And I was only really doing it as a hobby, just for fun. It really was not meant to be taken seriously at all. When I first started it was May 2011 when I first started. It was only, just as a background thing, just for fun, not meant to be serious. I never once intended for YouTube to become a career, not at that point at least, not at 2011, not for many years actually. But I always did it in the background. So I had a full-time job. I was working 9 hours a day. I'll come home and then I'd focus on YouTube. From about 2015 onwards, I started to take it more seriously. So I'd come home from work, I'd have a few hours in the evening to produce videos, and I got to a point in early 2018 where I spoke to my manager, and he was really good about it. I said to him, I'm getting a bit more money on YouTube, I'd like to try and focus on it a little bit more. I'd like to cut down my hours. So I went down from 45 hours a week down to, I think it was about 31. So I chopped off quite a lot of hours from my work schedule, and it gave me about 2 or 3 hours extra every day to work on YouTube, which was quite a lot of time, considering I normally only had about 4 or 5 hours. And that's not that much when you have to do other things, when you have a life as well. I'm sure that anyone who has a full-time job and doing YouTube, you'll attest to how difficult it is to manage your time when you have a relationship or sports or hobbies to go to or children. It's very difficult. So that happened January 2018. I shortened my hours, but by May 2018, I felt like I got to a point where, okay, maybe I can make this work. So I came in one day, I handed in my notice. I asked my manager to go into the meeting room, and he kind of knew what was happening. He said, "You're leaving, aren't you?" And yeah, I was. I handed my notice. I said, I'm going to try and make YouTube a full-time career. That was May 2018. I left in June 2018. You can't just leave straight away. You have to hand in notice, and it was 4 weeks later that I left. So at the end of June, I was gone. And since then, YouTube has been a full-time career. So that's just a quick overview of sort of my life story. Hopefully it was quite quick anyway. So it was never easy. It really did take a lot of time and commitment. We're going to go through this later, exactly the things I've done to get to where I am now. But the amount of time and commitment it took was really quite staggering. It took from 2011 to 2018 to go full time, 7 years. And from 2015, I took it pretty seriously. From 2011 to 14, 15, it was not really serious. I took months off at a time sometimes, or weeks. It wasn't really that serious. From 2015, I tried to make at least 2 or 3 videos a week, which is quite a lot again, given that you're full-time at another job. And from then on, that's when I took it seriously. So it's pretty much 3 years of serious time investment, or 3.5 years, maybe 4. And only then did I get full-time. So that was my more personal story about how I've developed so far in my life and got to where I am now. But quickly, I wanted to speak about my Patreon and my membership, so channel membership on YouTube. I'm not going to go into this in too much depth, so don't worry. So January is going to be the last month where you can support me on Patreon. The reason for that is that I want to move everything to channel memberships on YouTube. So the benefits you get from Patreon and from channel membership is basically the same. So I'm going to be stopping my Patreon. You can still support me there if you want, but you won't get any benefits from the end of January onwards. And I do want to say a massive thank you to anyone who has supported me on Patreon. That support has not gone unnoticed. It has really helped because, again, something we'll talk about later, but having that money to invest into the channel again. So you get a couple of £100 and you can just buy whatever equipment you need to progress your channel. And you do have to do that. You can't sort of just keep constantly the same with your equipment. You do have to improve. So I'll be moving all the support over to channel memberships on YouTube. So it's the join button below each video or live stream, so you can support there. But having said all of that, the best thing you can do to support anyone on YouTube or Twitch is just to tune in, just to watch. That's the one thing you can do. That's the best thing. So if you do want to support me, the best thing to do is just to watch the videos. Bonus points for liking the video or leaving a comment. And obviously there's quite a lot of you that do that because we get normally averaging about 80 to 90,000 views on a video based off of 300,000 subscribers. So I think that's quite a good ratio to be getting. And I've obviously noticed all the comments. I read pretty much every comment that gets posted. So I know that people really are enjoying the videos, and that's brilliant. And that's all that I need really, just people tuning in. But if you want to go the extra length, channel memberships, join button, that's where it is, just down below. It's up to you. Okay, I think I'm going to turn this light on because I'm getting a bit dark now. Okay, there we go. Anyway, let's go on to my YouTube story now. So as I said, I started in May 2011, a long time ago now. Pretty much spans the decade, my time on YouTube. So why did I start YouTube? Why did I even bother? So one, I felt like I was having really good races, and it was almost a shame that they weren't being seen by anyone. So back then it was Forza 3, Forza 4, the dirt games, so like Dirt 2. And I was having these brilliant races, brilliant overtaking, finishing, really close finishes, great battles. And I was like, well, no one's seeing this, so that's a shame. So that was one reason. Two, to help others. I've always felt like education is sort of a lingering theme of the channel. So I'm always trying to help people, trying to educate, trying to make sure that people can get better at the game. So that's another reason. And then the third reason, barely anyone was making racing game videos back then. If you go back to 2011, there really was not many at all. And certainly back then, no one had much more than 50,000 subscribers on a racing game channel. I think Slaptrain was pretty much the first big channel to get sort of 100,000. And that was way back in sort of 2013, 14-ish. So by 2011, people were very small back then. There really were not many channels doing racing games. So those three reasons were really why I started. As I said earlier, 2011 to 2014 it wasn't really done that seriously. I just made videos as and when I felt like, when I could be bothered. I sometimes took a month off, a week off, 2 months off. And then quite a lot of my videos were, hey, I'm back, hey, I'm back, hey, I'm back again, I'm back again. And that was a sort of a recurring theme for those first couple of years. Unfortunately, I missed the boat with the Xbox One and PS3 releases. So about 2013, end of 2013, they both came out. And I wasn't really doing YouTube for those couple of months around that. And I think that wasn't a good thing because I missed the boat with Forza 5 release. I never played Gran Turismo 5 or Gran Turismo 6. So I missed quite a lot of time there where, the growth could have been a lot quicker had I been there for that. But so I look back at my channel and I tried to pinpoint the exact time where I started to take YouTube more seriously. And that is, when is it? 8th of November 2014. It's a video called Forza 5, I Am Back. So another one of those I Am Backs. What is up, YouTube? This is Super GT and I'm back again after a long break. It's from then on, from that point, is when I started thinking, okay, let's just try and take this a bit more seriously. I wasn't even trying to make it a full-time job. It was just, I wanted some success in my life. I dropped out of university. I wasn't in a good job. I just wanted something in my life where I felt like I could have some success in it, some recognition, and also just to speak with other people who are like-minded. So from then on, it was really a case of trying to make 2 or 3 videos a week. Again, I was still full-time at that time at my warehouse job, auditor job. So it wasn't easy. I had to really put a lot of time in, a lot of effort, every night, most nights, on the weekend. And back then it was really tough as well because my setup was absolutely shocking. I was using a a Dell laptop from 2010, which I got just before I went to university. It was so slow. It took about 5-10 minutes to boot up. You could only load one program at a time. So if you wanted to capture footage, like that's the only thing you could be doing. You couldn't touch it. Otherwise it would just completely crash and burn. Rendering the video took absolutely ages. So it was a really long, drawn out process. Everything. And that's why constantly upgrading this setup has helped. And in 2015, I took out a loan to buy a computer, or I got it on finance. So it cost about £1,100, which was a lot of money for me at that time. Like that took me ages to pay back. What I did with the money is I bought a brand new tower PC, so it was a lot more powerful than the laptop. And so I was basically in debt. I put myself in debt to try to force something to happen to improve my YouTube prospects. But also I wanted a PC anyway, but it definitely helped with YouTube, and that was the main reason why I invested in that. So that goes on for a couple of years, so 2015, 2016. It wasn't until 2017, and going to the New York event for the Forza Racing Championship, there was an invitational, and I met the Slap Train there. And the Slap Train was, as I said, one of the first people to get to 100k subscribers. And I'm pretty sure he's one of the first to go full-time on YouTube for a racing game YouTuber. And I met him there, and I think by this point I was only on about, must have been about 30k subscribers. It was certainly well under 100, maybe 20 or 30k subscribers. So nowhere near enough support to really make it a full-time career. But he did tell me that based on what he's seen on my channel that I could go full-time. I didn't really believe at the time, I'll be honest, but it did give me some sort of a faint glimmer of hope that it could possibly happen in the future. So I always date it back to that moment when Slaptrain said, I reckon if you carried on, you could do this. You could make it a full-time career. So even though I didn't believe it, I had a faint hope. And it was around about the same time, March 2017, I did my first ever live stream.
Check this clip out. Oh boy. Welcome to Forza, eh? Welcome to Forza.
Yeah, that's it guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, whenever that may be. Goodbye. So I think that was a good thing to diversify the channel. So you have videos, you have live streams. It's a great way to engage with your audience live. So I can talk to you in a live setting, I can answer questions, and we can have sort of humorous exchanges. And it just adds another dimension to the YouTube channel. So I was really glad that I started doing that as well. That really helped grow the channel. And around about mid-2017, trying to contemplate esports. So I made a really important decision in my life. It might not sound that important, but I really wanted to get into esports. I love competing at the top end. So I competed in Forza Racing Championship. I finished 18th in the world in 2017 at the Le Mans finals. But after that, I kind of decided that it's YouTube or esports. I can't do both because it just takes too much time. The amount of time you need to be a full-time esports player or a full-time YouTuber, it is a lot. So you can't really do both. It's very, very difficult unless you hire people to help you out. And at the time I didn't have the money to hire people. I still don't really. But I decided I'm going to focus on the YouTube and not the esports. I felt like YouTube was more what I wanted to do and what I could make more of a success out of. So that's what I chose. And I sort of put the esports to the side from then on. So we get to January 2018, and this is at a point where I felt as though we're getting some traction on the channel. I think I was on about 60,000 subscribers by this point, January 2018, and I cut down my hours at work to give me even more time to focus on YouTube, as it was beginning to gain some traction, some momentum. And it was a bit of a risk at the time because, my earnings really weren't that good from this job. And I wasn't getting much from YouTube. So it was a bit of a risk. So I had to make sure that I really worked hard. I couldn't just be very complacent with it. I had to really invest a lot of time, make a lot of videos, do a lot of live streams, just to make sure that I made ends meet. And thankfully that did work out. So by May, June 2018, I went full time. So I was a full-time YouTuber over the span of basically 7 years. It took me 7 years to go from starting the channel to becoming full-time. So yeah, June 2018, I left my job as an auditor at a clothing company in a warehouse. And a couple of months later, so in September 2018, so just a couple of months after I left, I got 100k subs. Oh, 3 away, come on. Oh, there it is, 100,000, woo! We've done it, guys. Thank you so much. And I'm in 6th place when it happened. And now, in December 2019, so barely 15 months later, we're on 300k. So I'm going to point you to this amazing graph I made, which shows you the amount of years across the bottom and the amount of subscribers going up. And you can see it's very exponential. So it took ages for anything to happen. It took 6.5 years just to get to 50k. And then you can see quickly how that rose all the way up to 300. So that just gives you an idea of just how much time it takes. It is not easy. And I've had a couple of emails from people saying, I want to start YouTube. I'm going to make this my full-time career. Can you give me tips? Well, my first tip is don't go in with the mindset it's going to be my full-time career. Because I think that most people, honestly, will fail if you just think, yeah, I'm good enough. I'm making similar videos to what this guy's doing. So it should be good enough to be full-time. Doesn't quite work like that. And this is something that I really thought about at the beginning. I used to always look up to channels and think, what are they doing? I'm going to try and emulate that and try and copy that and try and do the same thing as they're doing. And I'm making a similar video to them. So why isn't my video not getting the amount of views that they're getting? YouTube doesn't work like that. You need to build your following, basically. So just a quick reference to those numbers. It took about a year to get 1,000 subscribers, 3 years to get 3,000. So I was getting 1,000 a year for the first couple of years. 10,000 took 4.5 years, and that was when Forza 6 came out. 50,000, 6.5 years. 100,000, 7.5 years. 200,000 took 8 years, and then 300,000 took about 8.5, or just a bit over 8.5 years. So that gives you an idea of just how long it took. And it's not an easy process, as I think a lot of people think it's very easy, but it just isn't. So in terms of my setup, I just want to talk about this quickly. This is something that has changed a lot. So again, at the beginning, the crappy Dell laptop, which is so slow, awful, shocking. And then slowly we upgraded bits here and there to get the PC in 2015. That was a massive help. I could actually record and do different things at the same time. So it streamlined the whole process. And then where we are now, I have a full sim rig. I have a brand new tower PC, multiple lightings, a Fanatec direct drive wheel, a brand new laptop to edit on. So I've really invested a lot. I really spent a lot of money to make sure that I'm on top of the equipment game, to make sure I'm not falling behind with that, and just to make sure that my whole process is as streamlined as possible. So something as simple as I used to have a GT Omega wheel stand, and I had to fold it up and put it away every time I wanted to play on a game that required a wheel. And for me, that even though it took 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I just could not be bothered to do it every time. So that was one of the reasons I got the sim rig, because I can just jump in it and then I'm there, I'm ready. That is definitely a tip I would give, just to streamline your whole thing, just to make sure that you don't get annoyed when you're doing YouTube. You have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then you're not going to last very long. But okay, how did I do it? How did I get from nothing to becoming a full-time YouTuber by doing racing games and karting? Okay, so number one, sacrifice a lot of time and energy. I mean, that's basically all I've spoken about so far in this video. It's not rocket science really, is it? Put the time in, put the effort in, put the energy in, make a lot of content, just work. That's number one, that's obvious. I think everyone should know that. Number two, focus on the things that I enjoy the most. And this is really important. This is really, really important. You can see over the years, the games that I focused on has changed. So at the moment, I'm doing Gran Turismo Sport, and I have done since the end of 2017. That's the main game I play now. And why? Well, because it's the one I enjoy the most. It's really as simple as that. I used to focus more on Forza. I used to do more dirt games. I used to toy with the F1 games, but I don't really enjoy them that much. So I don't play them that much, because if I were to focus on games I don't enjoy, I could make a quick buck out of it. But I'll be so miserable that I wouldn't want to do YouTube all that much. So focusing on your happiness, on your health, making sure that you're happy with what you're doing, then that's important. Number 3, reinvesting in your setup, in your equipment, in your software. We've spoken about this, but it's really important. Just make sure you're on top of all of those things. Make sure that your setup is quick, it works, it's streamlined. You can stream in good quality, you can make videos in good quality, you can do all of that quickly, you can render videos quickly, and you can edit quickly. Number 4, honing my craft, so my commentary, my humour. Over the years, if you look back at my first video where I did commentary, it is absolutely shocking. It really is. Hello there viewers, this is Super GT and I am finally back. Now obviously I've gone and got myself a microphone like I promised I would. I bought myself the blue snowball ice, so hopefully this should turn out quite well and my video should be a bit better from now on. Now one thing you'll notice is that I haven't been posting very much recently, but that should be changing now that I've got this microphone and a few more games are coming out. So I mean, just listening to that makes me cringe a billion times over, but it is a good benchmark of how I've progressed. I mean, my voice is still pretty monotone, you could say, but at least compared to what it was absolutely shocking back then, and I'd like to think it's a bit better now. So constantly improving the quality of your commentary, of your editing, working on different editing techniques. You can just research so many of these things. Just go on YouTube if you want to work something out in terms of editing. I don't know how to edit this, just go onto YouTube, search, you'll find a video. Someone's got a guide for everything. And then improving your humour as well, trying to understand what people find funny, what they don't find funny, and just trying to incorporate that into my videos. So it's a constant improvement process. You never stand still. You can't stand still in this world. If you stand still, you go backwards. Treat it like Formula 1. If a car stops developing, it goes backwards. It starts going slower. It goes to the back of the grid. So you have to be constantly improving. So these 3 things I think are really important, especially for gaming channels: humour, ability, and education. So if you're really funny, if you're really good at the game, or if you are really good at teaching people, then you'll probably do well on a gaming channel. And you don't have to have all 3. So I suppose, let's say you're really funny, but you're not that good at the game. Well, okay, it doesn't matter that you're not that good because you're really funny. People are still going to watch. So those 3 things are fairly important, and I'll say work on those for sure. Building the brand. This has really helped, I think. So the Super GT brand. So for example, something as simple as having an Instagram account and having a Twitter account. I don't earn money from them. I earn 0 money from Twitter and 0 money from Instagram, but it helps to just build the brand of Super GT. So I definitely recommend just trying to just get people more familiar with you, who you are, through those things, and just try to add another dimension to your brand by posting different sorts of videos that you don't post on YouTube, on your Twitter or something. So I like to post like little 20-second funny clips on Twitter, and I think that's quite a good thing to do. The next one, okay, pay attention to comments. This might sound a bit weird because so many comments are just stupid. I would say that if I were to scroll down my most recent comments, like right now, 10% of them are just absolutely stupid, that make no sense. So it's still a good idea to listen to those because it's still interesting to see what people think and what their perceptions are on your video and who you are. So it's definitely worth paying attention to comments, I think. I would say though that a lot of big channels, I think they just don't bother anymore because there's so many and there's so many bad ones. I don't blame them for not bothering. But for me, it is something I focused on. And it's something I've always focused on. I've always read the comments. What do people think? Because that's how you improve, by seeing what people think. If someone's taken the time to type out a comment, it's probably something quite important to them, presumably, hopefully. And because the engagement on most videos is pretty low. If you've got 100,000 views, you're probably not going to get more than a few thousand likes, and then you're probably only going to get a few hundred comments. So the percentage of comments against the views is quite low. So if someone comments, it's probably quite important. So it's worth listening to and taking note of what people think, even if it's a bad thing, because you can work on that. Develop the content over time. This is quite important. I've always developed my content. If you look back even 2 years or 1 year ago, it isn't the same. I edit things slightly differently. The length of the video is a bit different. The way that I edit the video, what I put at the beginning of the video compared to what I put at the end. There's so many things you can think about. There's so many ways to edit a video differently. And of course, just the fact that I'm playing different games, collaborating with different people, So for example, at the McLaren video I did recently, I hired someone to record for me. So that's a bit of a development. The fact that I used to hold the camera myself and do it all like that, but then getting other people to film for you, so you can just, speak clearly in front of the camera like I am now. So just little things like that. You're just constantly evolving, constantly changing and improving. Being relatable. This is something I felt has always been important. I've always tried to be quite relatable, and especially in the sense that my ability isn't, because it's not as if I'm the absolute best player in the world on Gran Turismo and I can just win every race, because that would be a bit weird. I think that would be actually quite unrelatable. The fact that I'm struggling and making mistakes is actually quite human, and I think people can relate to that. And I think that actually helps a little bit. So make yourself relatable in whatever you're doing, and be yourself. This is so important. I can't tell you how important this is. It really is very, 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 very important. Because go back to the comments thing, there are so many people that don't understand sort of my type of humour. I'm very dry, dark humour, and a lot of sarcasm. And not everyone can tell that. So quite often I'll get people saying, "You're very, very arrogant, aren't you?" Because they'll misunderstand what I'm trying to say. But with being yourself, you don't pander to the people who don't understand you. Just be yourself, and the people who do like you will find you. So I'm not ever going to change who I am to appease people who don't understand me, who don't like me. Screw them. I don't care about them. All I care about is the people who do like me. They will find me, hopefully, and that hopefully has happened. I've got to 300,000 subscribers, and I get a lot of comments from people who do understand exactly what I've been saying. So I'll make a comment, and 10 people say, "Yeah, that was funny. I get that," and then I'll get a couple of people saying, "God, what are you talking about? That's really stupid." So it's always a contradiction. You just have to focus on the people that do like you, that do get on with you, that do understand you, and be yourself. That is so important. Don't try to act and be someone else, because it just won't be good in the long term. Be genuine. This one is very true. It's kind of similar to being yourself. But yeah, you just don't act. You don't need to be someone else. Be yourself, be genuine, be relatable. Those 3 things I would say have really helped me just to get to where I am now. And lastly, I think this is a really important point as well. Play the long game. I briefly mentioned someone who emailed me and said, "I'm starting a YouTube channel. I want it to be my full-time job." It seems as though they're playing the short-term game there. They're just going for a quick buck, and they're not really thinking about it long term. I've always focused on trying to make this work in the long term. So I spoke about doing the things that I enjoy the most, and that is something that really helps make YouTube a long term thing. Because if I focus on games I hated, I wouldn't want to do YouTube. I'll probably give up if I had to play games I don't enjoy. So a really good example would be when the F1 games come out in the middle of the year. I don't really like the F1 games that much. I think the physics are too floaty, so I don't really like making videos on it. So I see a lot of other YouTubers making lots of videos on it. They enjoy the game, fair enough. So what I could do is make a quick buck by making loads of videos on this game that I don't enjoy and make myself miserable in the process. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is continue with the things I do enjoy the most, and then I'll wait until the game comes out that really helps me out. So I'll wait until Forza comes out in a couple of months' time, and then I'll hammer home a load of videos, and then my channel will grow that way instead. So you can make a quick buck by making videos on games you don't enjoy. But I always wait and just, okay, other people are having the success now. They're having the big bucks at the moment. I'm going to wait until a game comes out that I really enjoy. And then I'll be the one getting all the views then. So you can rush around and try to be a bit of everything. But I've just tried to be, more rooted and just stay to the things that I enjoy the most. And that really helps in the long term. So I've always played the long game. I've always wanted to make this a long-term career-ish. I don't think I'll be doing it until I'm 65, but I think I've made it work over 8.5 years, and that is one of the key reasons why I've done it. Another thing would be, if I don't feel like live streaming on a certain day, then I won't. I'm not going to put myself through unhappiness by live streaming or putting myself through things I don't want to do. So if I want to have a day off, I'll take a day off, but I will work hard in the days that I am making content. And that, again, preserves my mental state and makes me want to do YouTube for a long time. So, my God, that's me rambling on for a very long time. I'm sure you have very many questions, but before we focus on those, we're going to go to the competition. So I'm going to be giving away a Thrustmaster TGT racing wheel. So that includes the rim, the base, the pedals. So you've got a full racing set there, and there will be a link in the description. So 3 ways to enter. One is to go to my YouTube channel. One is to follow me on Twitter, and one is to go to my Instagram profile. So I can't make you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I can't make you follow me on Instagram. Although once you are there, it would be great if you did. You don't have to. I can't force you, but it would be great if you did. And on Twitter, just follow me on there. You don't have to do all 3. You can do 1, you can do 2, you can do 3. You can do none if you don't want to enter. It's completely your choice. So if you do all 3 of those things, you have 3 times more chance to win. The competition will close in a couple of weeks' time. Around, when did I set it for? Around about 13th of January. So you have a couple of weeks to enter, and then I'll pick a lucky winner. You do have to enter your name and your email address if you want to stand a chance of winning, so that I know how to contact the winner. But really, this is just a way to say thank you for the support on the channel, for making this a full-time occupation on something that I love. I've been playing games, as I said, since 1996. I love racing, I love gaming, and to be able to do it for a full-time career is absolutely amazing. It's still incredible, and I think a lot of people I speak to are kind of in disbelief that that can actually be a possibility, that someone can do that. Just make some videos from your bedroom and enough people want to watch that you can live full-time on it. It is pretty crazy. It is staggering. But I've got to be thankful for anyone who's followed the channel, who's supported me, who's commented, who's donated to me, who's followed me on Patreon. Whatever it is, massive thank you for all of it. This decade's been amazing. It started off pretty slowly, and I wasn't in a good place, I must be honest. In the first sort of 4 or 5 years of this decade, I wasn't that happy with how my life was going. But in the last couple of years, it's been really good. I've met so many good people on these Gran Turismo events, Forza events, going to Goodwood, doing so many cool things. And it's all possible because of this channel, because of what we've built up here. But yeah, I mean, this was a long one, but I felt like it was long overdue. Come to the end of the decade. Hopefully the next decade we can press on and make even better content, have even more laughs, and go to even more great events. I think the big thing will be end of 2020, new consoles coming out. So definitely looking forward to that sort of time. But that is all for me. I really hope you enjoyed this video or found it useful in some way. I'm guessing there will be a lot of questions, so fire away in the comments. I'll try to answer as many as I possibly can. But I think I've covered most of what I wanted to say. So hopefully it's covered somewhere in the video. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being part of this channel. And good luck in the Thrustmaster TGT competition. But that is all for me. Take care, everyone. Have a great end to the year. You're probably watching this after the New Year's anyway. But thank you so much for being part of it. Have a great 2020. Have a great 20s decade. Let's put it there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.